Gaelic Games Football is a sports video game that was developed by IR Gurus and published by Sony Entertainment for the PlayStation 2 in 2005, and the game is based around the iconic Gaelic football sport from the GAA based in Ireland. And since being a fellow Irishman, it was only a matter of time before I'd have to cover this game on the channel, as myself I grew up with Gaelic football in the household and I'm a fan of the sport as well. So looking into this game in some ways does reflect the sport of how it is in general, but in saying that, the game itself is very hit and miss and doesn't really reflect the whole outgoings of the sport and the popularity of the sport, as even though at the time when the game was first announced back in the day there was a lot of hype around it, but unfortunately the game didn't receive the greatest of reviews and it wasn't really as well put together as it probably could have been. But due to the dynamics of the gameplay style and how Gaelic is played, because it's not played like your typical soccer game where players have to handle the ball first and then they have to solo the ball with their foot and grab it with their hands while kicking it on the ground as well, and that can confuse a lot of people because there's a lot of people out there that wouldn't even know how this game is even played, or let alone that it would even exist. Only for us Irish we would know. But the reality is that the game didn't receive great reviews. It was unfortunately poorly put together. It wasn't really great in terms of how it played. Well, in saying that, it is playable, but it's very, very difficult to master. It's very clunky, the controls are very fiddly. It's not a really good experience. Like, it does have all of the official teams, like you have where I'm from, Louth, you have Mayo, you have Cork, you have all of the county teams, plus you have a lot of the club teams as well from each of the 4 provinces situated around Ireland: Ulster, Leinster, Munster and Connacht. And there was a sequel in Gaelic Games Football 2 that was released 2 years later in 2007, but again the game still received poor reviews, stating that there was little improvement from that of the original game. And the game plays and feels very like a lot more like earlier type of rugby style games. It's the controls themselves are very, very clunky and sluggish. It doesn't play overly great. It's very hard to get into, and even the responsiveness in terms of how the characters move, how you interact and how you tackle sometimes is non-existent. And just even the animations with regards to trying to catch up to someone and trying to grab the ball off them, it just looks weird. It isn't realistic looking at all, unfortunately. I know they tried to make it a good experience, and like, in fairness, hats off to the developers for giving it a go and trying it, but you can tell that it wasn't well executed. And I think with this type of game it's hard to really know how to put it together in a sense that will make any sort of sense, if you know what I mean, because people that are coming into it from an outside perspective, especially if you're not Irish, you won't really understand what the hell is going on in all respects to it. I think it was a commercial flop in all regards to it, and the same with its sequel, which is a pity because it had the potential to make the game of Gaelic football a lot more popular to other regions, but because the game's lack of even reviews and success just left it falling into the wilderness. I think it's just another one of those games that just had so much potential at the start but failed to deliver really in all respects. But if you're a fan of Gaelic football, you can try it out for yourself and see what you think. Now, it's not going to be easy to pick up and play, that I can definitely guarantee. Even going back to play this myself, I remember my youngest brother actually got it as a Christmas present the year that it came out. Now, it had been out a couple of months when the game came out, and we tried to get into it as much as we could, and we did play it for a good while actually, but it was so difficult. Just couldn't really get the hang of really what to do. I think for the likes of ourselves, because of growing up watching Gaelic football, and even there's football even in my family, my dad would have played football over the years, so we grew up with that. So I think for that alone, you were kind of playing it more for nostalgic reasons more than anything else. And I think just to see it play out in a video game format and to get the atmosphere and the look and feel of it presented in that format, I think that was what appealed to us even more than the gameplay itself, if I'll be honest. So I think only for nostalgic fans of the sport would find any sort of gratification from it, because it does present the atmosphere but it lacks in other areas. That's the only downside really with it, like. But unfortunately it is what it is. You know, it might appeal to some, but it definitely won't appeal to others. But it is what you make of it at the end of the day. But I would love to know your thoughts on Gaelic Games Football for the PlayStation. Is this a game that you would even look into, or have you actually played it before, and if so, what did you think of it overall? Did you enjoy it, or maybe not so much? I would love to hear whatever thoughts you do have of this game, so be sure to share it down in the comments below. And if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to be updated of future videos. And if you would like to see more content on the channel around other types of sports games also seen on the PS2, then you can check out the playlist on screen to see more of those games in action. And I will see you all in the next one.